What's up, guys? Daniel Elias fishing here. Welcome back to the channel. I am back out on my favorite lake trying to see if maybe the fish are still biting. So stick with me. Let's see what we can get. Golly, man, that is a freaking wild one. Got bugs flying in my sunglasses already. Alright. So that didn't take too long. Fish number 2. Healthy one. So, man, this is going to be a fun video. Make sure you watch till the end. I will show you what I'm doing at the end. Show you all the baits, how I'm rigged up, how I'm set up. But let's try to catch some more. Stop it. Golly, he is not done. Done now. All right. Got another one. Here on the outsides, you know. Nothing like far in. They're kind of on the edges. So I'm doing a little finesse flipping. Very finesse flipping, but got a healthy one for sure. All right, guys, I forgot to restart the camera, and I caught this one out deep, about 25 feet. I moved out just briefly because it got tough. Shallow, but pretty solid fish. Big one, giant. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna try to flip him. Oh, he's hooked in the bottom lip too. I'm gonna go for it. Oh, oh man, right in the bottom lip, man. Oh, let me spin us out of the sun so you can see this one. All right, that should work. How about that one? Check out that beast, man. That's a good one right there. So, caught him out of that heavy cover. I just love that stuff, and it's pretty amazing. So hopefully this trend continues and I'll catch some more just like that. See you, bud. So, I want to tell you guys something that's, interesting about that fish. So number one, I'm trying to learn to get on this knee again. But what was interesting about that fish is he hit it the first time and I missed him. And he came back and he got it again. And the interesting thing about that, or the thing to note, is that you can still get a fish to bite, but the key in that situation a lot of times is scent. So having a scented bait can make all the difference in the world. That was a Berkeley Pit Boss, Power Bait Pit Boss, so it's scented with Power Bait scent, and that makes a big difference because that fish isn't just getting in there and tasting plastic. I mean, he's tasting Power Bait, and that'll enable him to come back and eat it again. So kind of cool. Hopefully that's the first of many. As I tucked up in this cut real quick to try to get out of the wind, because the wind's blowing pretty bad and I want you to be able to hear me through the microphone. But obviously caught them flipping today, really using 2 different flipping setups. I'll cover what I caught that big fish on, the last fish I caught first. What that was, same thing you saw me using in the previous videos, is a punching setup, okay? And I'll talk about the bait a little bit. But number one, you want to put on a bobber stopper, okay? Now, not just any bobber stopper, you want a heavy duty one on there. To really hold that weight in place, because a lot of times when I'm fishing grass, I'm using a heavy weight. So the ones I like are made by Sixth Sense. They're a lot more durable. For the weight, the grass has been growing a little bit more. It was a little bit thicker, so I stepped up from the ounce I was using before and went to 1.25 ounces. Didn't feel like I needed to go to 1.5 ounces, but we got 1.25 ounce tungsten, followed by a punch skirt. And for this punch skirt, just green pumpkin, that's all it is. It's a green pumpkin punch skirt. So you got the bobber stopper, the tungsten, the punch skirt, and then the hook. And this part is important. So number one, what I use is a 4/0 Berkeley Fusion heavy cover hook, or flipping hook. Now I snell that, right? And I tie it with a snell knot on purpose. Now, you've heard me say I don't like snelling when I'm flipping, and that is true. The exception to that is when I'm fishing grass. So when I fish grass, I like to snell it because you don't have typically a direct line pull to the fish. So a lot of times your line goes out into the grass and down. So your line can make this angle as it comes out. So you don't always get a great hook set. So the reason why I snell in those situations is normally you've got this hook hanging down here, right? But when you put pressure on that weight, it pops the hook up. See that? Pops it up. And what happens is it pins them in the roof of the mouth when that hook pops out, right? Now, the benefit to that is if they're buried deep into that mat, it just sort of pins them, and sometimes you get a fish when their eyes get covered in grass, they stop fighting. So if you get a really big one, you can't get them out, don't try to horse them, just hold them in there, go in and get them. Luckily, that big one I had today came out pretty easily. Really weird that he was hooked in the bottom lip. It's not normal. Typically, you're getting them right in the roof of the mouth with a snell knot, so kind of strange. And then the bait I just needed to retie is a Pit Boss. Okay, so Berkeley Pit Boss, 4-inch, so that's the standard size. This one that I'm throwing today, I believe it's called Skeet's Green Money, and you can see it. It's basically green pumpkin. It's got some like purple pearlescence on the bottom, and then like green and purple flake in there. And I chose that today instead of just straight green pumpkin because I saw quite a few bluegill. I also saw shad swimming around both the grass and the Tules. So this one kind of imitates a little more of a shad with that pearlescence color. And to be honest, I think when you get it down in a mat, they probably don't care that much, right? It's just a big profile coming by them. When you're getting in more sparse cover, it does matter, right? Now, basically just rig that up Texas style on there is all you need to do. So line it up like this, hook goes in the nose, out the bottom, pull it all the way up. Now don't turn the bait until you push it through. So push it through until that bait keeper comes out, then turn the hook. Okay, and all you're gonna do is bury that hook in there. Now you don't want that hook like coming out the top, because if you do that, if you get it coming out the top, you're gonna be hung on everything, right? You're just gonna get hung up the whole time. And you want that bait sitting straight. Right, you don't want it crooked. So when I slide the bobber stop down, I don't go all the way. I give it just a little bit of play so it can sink through those mats. But when you get bit, it pops it up. All right. So what I'm throwing this on, and this is just as important. Okay, number one, I've got it on braid. Now, I use Berkeley products, obviously you know that, and they make 2 different braids under the Berkeley brand. I mean, they obviously have spider wire and that sort of thing too. But they make really the 2 that people know is the X5 and the X9. Now the X5 is a 5 carrier braid, means there are 5 strands in that braided line, right? So they take 5 pieces, they braid it together, and it makes 1 strand of line. The X9 is 9 strands. Now there's a difference, right? So the 9 carrier braid is much smoother. So the X9 is smoother. It's going to give you longer casts. It's a much smoother line. I like it for a couple of things. I like it for topwater, and I like it if I'm using braid to flip wood. Because it's smooth, it doesn't dig into the wood and get you caught. It'll come over it a lot better. When I go to the X5, which is a rougher braid, I go to that X5, that rough braid, in grass and in vegetation, really, because what happens is that rough braid is almost like a saw. So when you set the hook, it'll saw right through the grass or tules. It'll saw a hole right out. You don't want it sawing into wood, which is why I throw X9 around wood. But X5 around grass and vegetation is what you want to do. You want that rougher braid. So that's really, really important. The 65-pound test is what I am punching with in the heavy cover. Pretty easy. I mean, for this, I use a heavy-duty reel, so that's an Abu Garcia Revo STX. It's a high gear ratio reel, so it's an 8:1 to 1. And then I use this on my punch stick. It's a Fantasista X, so an Abu Garcia Fantasista X. It's a 711 extra heavy rod. Okay. Now, when you saw me finesse flipping earlier, I had a little different setup. Number one, I was throwing fluorocarbon. So 20-pound fluorocarbon. I did not snell the hook. I had a half-ounce weight on there, so half-ounce tungsten. So still the bobber stop, half-ounce tungsten, no punch skirt, still a 4-aught Berkeley Fusion heavy cover hook, but 20-pound fluoro. So I was hitting the edges, right, with that. The fluorocarbon's not as easy for the fish to pick up as a braid. Now, sometimes, guys, and I apologize for this, you see me unhooking fish next to the boat. And I do that on purpose because I do a lot of testing for Berkeley, and I'm routinely testing prototype baits. So I was throwing a prototype bait that obviously I can't show you. I will in due time. I'll show you those baits. But what I can tell you about it is it's a cross-style bait. I'd say it's probably about 3.5 to 4 inches long, maybe 3 3/4. But it's a crawfish-style plastic, and I was throwing a green pumpkin one. So no punch skirt, but just a green pumpkin cross-style bait. I mean, realistically, you could probably get a chigger craw or a Shape 108 and do some damage on that too. It's you know, similar profile, I guess you could say. Same reel, so a Revo STX 8:1. The rod is different. I still throw a Fantasista X, but instead of the 711 extra heavy, which you would snap 20-pound fluorocarbon with that, I throw a 7.6 heavy action rod. So it's a 7.6 heavy action. It's a flipping stick, basically. You can also throw like deep spoons, like those big giant spoons on it. But that's really all I was doing today. So using that finesse style bait on the edges, and then flipping the grass with the heavier setup or the punching setup. So I hope that helps you. I've only got about another 15 minutes out here. I think it's only like 9:30 in the morning, but this is all the time I have today, unfortunately, or I would stick around and keep trying to track some fish down. So I might hit one more spot on the way in. If I catch one, you'll see it. If not, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave me a comment down there. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Giant. Yeah, that's a big boy. Get out of that grass. There's no way I'm going to be able to flip this one. Oh, God. Oh. 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 No. No. Got him. Yeah, buddy. On that pit boss. Yes, sir. How about that fish? Yeah. All right, so got that big old stud. piece of grass down there. I thought I was gonna go home, and I was like, man, I seen one piece of grass and I had to hit again. This is the same piece of grass that I caught that last big one out of, so whoo, look at that football. Appreciate you, big girl. That was awesome. Whoo, I love catching them out of heavy cover.